What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unusual Suspects. I'm your unusual guest, Vincent Oshana. We have got a sick show for you guys lined up today. I'm going to go around and introduce everybody really fast. We have Brandon Acito, we have Taylor DeGrande, we have Robert Gardulo, and we have a new unusual suspect. He's awesome. He's from New York. He's a freaking tough guy. Chris Mano. Chris, take your 30 seconds, look at the camera, tell the world who you are and how unusual you are.
Glad to be here. My name is Chris Mano. As Vincent said, born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
Spent a short time playing for the Kansas City Chiefs and Carolina Panthers. Huge valuetainment fan and supporter for many years now, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Dude, thank you for being so, so you played with I mean, me and you are around you're a little bit taller than me, but you played with like huge people.
Some pretty big dudes, yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Any concussions while you were in the NFL?
Never diagnosed. I wasn't there long enough to get concussions.
Okay, because I got mine in high school and I still have problems because of it now. But, yeah, no, seriously, like it's bad. But look at, we have a lot, dude. There's some shows where I'm like, okay, the story's all right, but this is actually one of the ones I'm looking forward to. We're going to talk about Epstein and his flight logs. We're going to talk about a kid sentenced to jail, which is bananas. What are you doing?
Gene editing.
Gene editing. I have no idea what the hell that even means, but Brandon's going to talk to us about that. We're going to talk about Elon Musk and Alex Jones getting reinstated, and the new movie, Leave the World Behind. Everybody's talking about it. We're going to talk about it, and there's a bunch of stuff. When you guys find out who produced it, you guys are probably gonna chip out. But all right, first story off the rip. Robert Gardulo, Epstein. Talk to us. What's going on?
Oh, thank you, Vince.
Hello.
Hi. The Jeffrey Epstein flight logs continue to remain sealed, which is odd. And now there are Republican congressmen who are fighting for the release of the sealed documents. Tim Burchett, who is a Republican congressman, is now urging Congress to subpoena Epstein's flight logs to identify his alleged co-conspirators when it comes to the human trafficking charges that Jeffrey Epstein had brought against him. In a letter that was sent to the House Oversight Committee on Monday, Burchett said that there are still many unanswered questions surrounding Epstein's operation, including the identities of America's most powerful and well-known people who may be involved in the conspiracy. Burchett wrote, "The American people have a right to know who took part in Epstein's disgusting business that ruined so many lives. More importantly, their victims deserve justice and accountability." This comes after Democrats blocked an effort by Senator Marsha Blackburn, who is also a Republican congresswoman, who subpoenaed the flight logs. She attempted to subpoena them earlier this month as well as last month. And the question becomes, Jeffrey Epstein has been dead for 4 years. He died August
4 years?
10th of 2019. Jeffrey Epstein died.
Oh,
so
wow.
You're 4.5 years out of this guy being dead. Why are we continuing to keep the flight logs hidden from the American public? And when you dig into Jeffrey Epstein's background, it kind of makes sense why they don't want the flight logs released. How much do you guys actually know about Jeffrey Epstein?
Everything.
I mean,
Okay, I know you're a computer.
Brandon's a computer, but I mean, dude, I've paid attention while everything that was happening with him. I watched a couple of documentaries. I've heard rumors that he might have been, Mossad agent setting up all these people. I do know that he apparently had a bunch of cameras in this house where he would invite everybody, get all this dirt on all these people, basically giving them whatever they wanted. Underage, let's not lie to each other. They were hooking up with underage kids. It's out there. We're not making this up. And recording it, and then once these people went back to their regular lives, whatever they wanted or favors or whatever agency he was working for, they would say, hey, listen, do this. If not, send them this is you hooking up with a 14-year-old boy or girl, and then that's just the ultimate blackmail. And then, I think once the evidence of what he was doing had to come to light, because there's only so much crap you could put a cover on until people go, dude, that stinks. It came out right, they arrested him, and that was the moment that I think, and me and you talked about this, the moment which I know happened, we don't know who it was. What powerful person saw the news break and went, oh my God, he's arrested. He's dying this week. We're going to kill him this week. So that's basically where I'm at, Rob. I don't understand that. Like Ghislaine, she's going to be out in 20 years. She has like a 20-year sentence. She knows everything. She has all the dirt, yet they haven't tried to kill her or...
So did you know that previous to the arrest that ended in Jeffrey Epstein's death, he had been arrested before.
Yeah, I've seen depositions of him. Yes.
Okay, so I like to deal with what I do know, because what I don't know is why they refuse to release the flight logs. We don't know who's on the flight logs, and we don't know the purpose behind Jeffrey Epstein's actions. We can only assume.
Yeah.
So I started doing a deep dive into Jeffrey Epstein's background to try and answer some of those questions. And what we do know about Jeffrey Epstein, in the 70s, without having any teaching background or certifications or previous history teaching at all, he got hired as a physics and mathematics teacher at the Dalton School in Manhattan, a very prestigious private school in Manhattan. He ended up getting fired due to poor performance because he had no experience doing the job. Makes sense. He then moves into the finance world. He ends up joining Bear Stearns in 1980. Rises from a low-level junior assistant to a floor trader to eventually becoming a limited partner before he was fired from the firm for Regulation D violations. So he rises from, guy that's on the very low level, the mailroom level, and then rises up to partner only to get fired. Then he founds his own consultant firm in the 1980s called Intercontinental Assets Group. And this is an organization that Jeffrey Epstein tells people he assists clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers. However, during this time, he starts telling people that he's also an intelligence agent, that he possesses an Australian passport with a photo of him but a different name, and his place of residence is listed in Saudi Arabia. At this same exact time, he is retained by Saudi Arabian businessman Adnan Khashoggi, who was the middleman in transferring American weapons from Israel to Iran as part of the Iran-Contra scandal of the 1980s. So he has very weird ties very early on.
Yes, and I mean, just from the beginning, he sounded like Hunter, no experience, but he gets the job. And then it's kind of, it's so like, why would he be telling people that you're a freaking agent of any? That's bragging when you shouldn't be bragging.
In fact, in 2017, a former senior White House official reported that Alexander Acosta, the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of Florida, who ended up handling Epstein's 2008 case, he told people during the Trump transition interviews that I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, and that Epstein was above his pay grade. So there's these intelligence roots very early on in his career in the 1980s. Then in 1991, this is when it explodes. He meets Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of disgraced media baron Robert Maxwell, who, according to the Foreign, Commonwealth, and Development Office of the Government of the United Kingdom, they considered him to be a secret agent of a foreign government. They claimed that he had links to the MI6, which is the British intelligence
CIA.
service. Yep. The KGB, which is the Russian agent, and then the Israeli Mossad as well. All of a sudden, Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein start canoodling. They're spending time together, and then his business explodes. 1990s, after meeting Epstein in 91, or meeting Ghislaine Maxwell in 91, he starts bringing on high, wealthy clients, high-profile clients. His business explodes, and he starts making billions of dollars in the 90s, right after he meets Ghislaine Maxwell.
Weird.
You fast forward to 2001. Bill Clinton's on Jeffrey Epstein's private plane called the Lolita Express on 26 different trips. 2005, a 14-year-old girl and her parents reported that Epstein molested her at his Palm Beach mansion.
Jeez.
2006, police charged Epstein with unlawful sex acts with persons under the age of consent. However, in 2007, Alexander Acosta, the same person we spoke about earlier, he filed a non-prosecution agreement against Epstein, which allowed Epstein to plead to lesser charges, and he served a lenient 18-month sentence in which 6 days out of 7, Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to leave prison to go work. Work was his home, where he was molesting and trafficking women.
God.
So imagine you get sentenced for having sex with an underage girl.
And they home arrest you.
Yeah, so then you get to go every day, you get to go to work, which is your home, to then continue to molest young girls.
Oh my God.
He doesn't actually really get in trouble for this until the late 2000s. He's arrested in 2019 on federal sex trafficking charges. But what's interesting is in that interim between the 2008 charges and the 2019 charges is all the evidence that starts coming out about Jeffrey Epstein and his ties to wealthy, influential people. In a 2015 article from International Business Times, the article's titled, Prince Andrew Might Have Been Caught on Tape with Sex Slave. That's the title of the article.
Jeez.
In the article, it says that Epstein installed concealed cameras in numerous places on his properties to allegedly record sexual activity with underage girls by prominent people for criminal purposes such as blackmail. This has been written about, so if it's in, I know that we don't trust the media anymore. But in 2015,
printing it, they're liable.
So Vanity Fair, the 2019 article, says that Ghislaine Maxwell told a friend of Epstein that Epstein's private island in the Virgin Islands was completely wired for video, and the friend believed that Maxwell and Epstein were videotaping everyone on the island as an insurance policy.
Wow.
They even interviewed a woman named Maria Farmer, who worked for Epstein back in the 90s, who noted that even as early as 1996, Jeffrey Epstein had a media room inside of his New York mansion where there were individuals monitoring pinhole cameras throughout the house. The media room was accessed through a hidden door inside the home. She stated that the media room had men that were sitting there, and I looked at the cameras. She saw toilets, beds.
Jeez.
She said that it was very obvious that where they were, where the cameras were mounted, they were put in such a position to monitor people's private moments. So all of this information comes out. Jeffrey Epstein's clearly filming people having weird sex. There's clearly ties to underage girls, and yet the federal government continues, for whatever reason, to continue to stand in the way and block the release of the Epstein flight logs. But why? Some of the people that have been named on the flight logs, the New York Times actually had a copy of the flight logs and released in 2019, people who have been on the planes, including Robert F. Kennedy, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, Prince Andrew, Alan Dershowitz, George Mitchell, who is a former senator and the Senate Majority Leader, Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google, Kevin Spacey, Naomi Campbell, Chris Tucker,
Jay-Z, Beyonce. Yeah.
Very weird one. Chris Tucker. I guess he
Tucker.
was a huge Rush Hour fan. I don't know.
I heard, yeah, him and Bill Clinton were
Larry Sanders, Sergey Brin, tons of people are implicated in either being an associate of Jeffrey Epstein or flying on these planes, many of them after the 2008 conviction for the sex crime.
So
Not
the-
the
so-
2019 ones, but the 2008.
So this log is after 2008.
Yes. Well, some of these the log was released after 2008, 2019. These flights are both before his
And after.
conviction and after. Bill Clinton flying on the plane 26 times, 26 between 2001 and 2003. Now, I get it. Bill Clinton flies around a lot. You can make the argument that these guys are on private jets, right? They don't know who owns them all the time. Bill Clinton flies all over the globe. But to be on the same plane that's labeled the Lolita Express 26 different times in a 24-month span, that's weird to me.
And as president of the United States, you'd be a little skeptical of who he's with.
Oh, what do you mean? But the fact that you know that your every move that you do as president or after the president, their secrets are, they're watching you. They know what you're doing. They know where you're going. And it's crazy though, Rob. Like, I think after once the conviction happens, that's the first list. I'd be like, okay, guys, you know he's a pedophile and he's having sex with underage girls, whatever the hell he was doing. Explain yourself. Why are you hanging out with do you guys hang out with any pedophiles? I don't know one pedophile.
One time.
That's whatever, Rob.
No. Wait, he was a guest on the show, Anthony Weiner. So I
that's hilarious.
the only time I've hung out with a pedophile was in work purposes.
But you're not traveling with him. But it's so interesting, Rob. Like once you break it down, just like that, the rise of him, and then the fall with the getting arrested and then in jail, and then the obvious killing of him inside of jail. I mean, we're not stupid. The cameras weren't working. It's always the same story.
There's some great stuff when it comes to his actual death. He was supposed to be monitored every 30 minutes.
For suicide or everything?
No, originally they said that he tried to commit suicide several days before he actually did.
That's the setup.
He was hospitalized and put into a separate wing for 6 days. Then he was put back into a prison cell. He was supposed to have someone in the cell with him and monitoring him every 30 minutes. But apparently the security guards not only fell asleep, but the 2 cameras that were outside monitoring his room weren't functioning the night.
They felt like what? What are the odds?
He also broke a bone in his neck that, according to a study, only 6% of suicides result in this neck bone being broken.
Yeah.
Yet his falls into that 6%. There was all kinds of marks to his body, which indicated that there was a struggle.
Of course.
Even his lawyer said that they did not believe that he had committed suicide. Yet, not only did the federal the Federal Bureau of Prisons and the Attorney General, Bill Barr at the time, the day that he died, they came out and announced that it was suicide without having any no autopsy, no investigation. They found his body, and then that day they come out and they go, "Yeah, he killed himself."
Yeah, just like with JFK, with Oswald, they had everything. He shot him. It was this. It was like, bro, when the information is laid out that fast, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't.
So the question is,
this fucking story.
Why? Why do they continue to hide? The guy's been dead for 4 years, so they're not protecting him. So who are they protecting?
Think about
Think about
who's attached to this and involved in it, because anybody who has a lot of money who's politically connected, you're going to attract a lot of politicians and influential people to parties you host, and that was a big thing he did, is hosting parties, networking, things like that. And I think something that gets overlooked is it's not like he's just outwardly a pedophile and people see him that way. That a lot of it's probably. Yeah, he has girls that are 16 years old that look like they could be older at these events, and people end up hooking up with them on camera, and then after the fact, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, she was 16. So it's not like a thing where oh, hey, I have these young girls that are underage, come hook up with them. It's like, yeah, I'm having a party. Yeah, there's gonna be good-looking girls there. Oh, by the way, they're 16. After you hooked up with them and you're on camera doing
Brandon,
it. So
if you go somewhere 26 times, I think at one point you're gonna be like, okay, I'm going because these girls are young as shit, and I think that relationship with him, with Epstein and Bill Clinton's one of the most prominent ones. It's because, like Tim just said,
Clinton's in that game too, though.
Big time. By the way, just listen to me. The left, the Democrats. I mean, obviously the Republicans do stupid shit too. They get in trouble, but the left is, from what I've seen, they're dirtier. They're more corrupt, and they get away with it because, bro, think about this. If you have the system set up, if you have the judges, if you have the lawyers and everybody in your back pocket, you have the majority of the House, dude, you can literally get away with murder. You can do whatever the hell you want if you're a Democrat.
Well, we call it the cuck party, but it's the uniparty, like the cleaner version of it.
I think so.
The cuck party.
The cuck party.
Republicans sit there and just watch while the Democrats pound America.
Yeah, I love that.
And I think to go along
But
with
it's the uniparty. Like the proper term for it's the uniparty, but the cuck party is our term for
What do
it.
you say, Chris?
I think to go along with what you said earlier, doesn't he know that he's always on camera with when you're in cahoots with the right people that are going to protect you, you kind of egotistically don't care. You feel protected. I'm untouchable.
Dude, Hunter Biden is the perfect case. Today he was in front of Congress, not in front, he was outside going, these Republicans, man, they got naked. They're just trying to, my dad's a good dad and guess what?
Oh, it's the Republicans' fault that you had sex with prostitutes while meth?
Yeah, those teeth that he's whistling through, those aren't his teeth. We paid for these teeth.
He skipped his hearing today, too.
He skipped it. He's a crackhead. He's a piece of shit. He's
But
a
even,
crackhead.
okay, Hunter Biden untouchable. You would think on the royal side of things in the United Kingdom that anybody associated with the royal family would be untouchable. But look at what happened to Prince Andrew. He got fired from his position in the crown and is now and then they evicted him from his home, and he continued a relationship with Epstein after Epstein's conviction. Same with Bill Gates. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates got divorced because Melinda Gates did not like Bill Gates' relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. So, I mean, these people that are supposed to be untouchable, there's things that are happening to them. They may not be facing jail time, but Bill Gates lost half his wealth in that divorce.
Well, you're untouchable until they can't control you anymore. They see you as some sort of threat, or you're, prone to make the mistake that gets them caught.
Well, the
then
information is too much. Like I said, when the poop is too much in the bag.
And I agree. Then why is Ghislaine Maxwell still alive? How is Ghislaine Maxwell not dead if she has the same information? Because, again, she was working with Jeffrey Epstein to not only traffic the women, but then to videotape the men that were having sex with the women. How does he die? And why is she still alive?
I think two dying, Brandon. Two dying is okay, so that's too obvious. They got to keep her ass alive. They're probably drugging her. Have you seen a photo of her lately? She looks like crap. She doesn't look good.
To be honest, though, oh, God.
No, there's no sunlight on her. She's not doing well. And I think, dude, when the names that you put on the names that you listed, from Jay-Z to all these politicians, it's a cabal. It's a group where they know, listen, we have to protect each other, at all costs. So when he got arrested, like you said, it gets to that point where it's we can't keep it hush. And dude, he has footage of. Imagine that phone call. All of you guys put yourself in that in those shoes. You get a phone call. You're A-list. You're a politician. Hey, listen, this freaking guy had cameras when you were with so-and-so. And you know what the next phone call is? We're killing that fucking guy. That's it. That's all it is, bro. You got to kill him. That's it. And they did it. And this is the only thing that pisses me off. They kill these people in front of our faces, and we're not dumb. It wasn't suicide. And you're not. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do?
Well,
And they don't
to
talk
be honest,
about it.
I don't
Withhold
think
information.
I think there's a strong possibility that he didn't actually die. Like, how easy would it be to just make somebody look like him, change his face with the way plastic surgery is today? I think high probability that that's a possibility.
Then how would you get that person inside of the prison and swap him out?
The camera turns off.
swap.
Yeah, but that
What swap? No swap.
So you just don't think there's anybody in prison now?
No, like who?
No, he's saying
Epstein?
they just get a dead body, throw it in there that looks like him, and get rid of him. He's a billionaire.
So you just grab like a homeless person on the street, and give them plastic surgery, then put them in place of Epstein. Then how does Epstein escape from the jail? Because they take the body
he was
out of
never
the
in
jail.
Is
jail.
Epstein amongst other people in there? Did they really see him, or could they just say he was away?
He did have a cellmate, but then the week before he actually died, they moved the cellmate out, and he was alone.
Weird. Just think about
Strange how that
billionaire that's
works.
connected with the cabal and the intelligence agencies. How difficult would it be to just grab some homeless guy off the street, like you said, throw him in jail to appease people, and then, oh, okay, he's dead now. Like, look away. You know, it's not a problem anymore. He's dead. But change his face. He looks totally different. He's still walking around among us.
Listen, the possibilities are there, and we're about to wrap up. But Rob, I just think the main reason, which your question was, why would the Democrats, like Dick Durbin and all these guys, block these subpoenas to show these lists? Because they know their friends are on these lists.
Or them.
Or them. It's like, but it's blatantly obvious when you see that report, when you see that, because it's written that they're blocking the efforts of the flight logs. Give me one reason why you would block it.
It hurts you.
Why? Yeah, there's nothing you could say except for it's going to hurt the people of power that we are all connected to. Because then the whole house of cards comes down. You guys are flying to a fucking island and banging kids. You guys are all going to hell. Like, if there is a hell, there's a specific line for those people that mess with kids, and they're going to be in the front.
Well, props to Congressman Burchett and Congresswoman Blackburn for going out and trying to get these flight logs revealed to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how does it make us feel that it's our U.S. government withholding that information?
That we're funding. We're funding them with our tax dollars to hide information from us because they're protecting us.
Yeah,
That sounds odd.
and-
right?
For our safety.
And pay for Hunter Biden's crack teeth that
Yeah.
he fucking
Yeah.
smoked. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to move on to... Bob, that was a good slide.
That was a good
Remember
one.
that one?
Yeah, shit.
Next story, Chris, you had something about some kid got sentenced for, you said it was a ridiculous amount of time. Let us know about this.
So there's a story out of Mississippi where a 10-year-old boy will now serve probation, an actual criminal punishment for urinating behind his mother's car, right? I'm from New York.
Yeah.
You beat up an old lady who's walking peacefully in New York, swing away.
Yeah.
You want to loot a store, have at it, right? Insider trade yourself to $100 million on a $200,000 salary, it's all
Whatever.
good.
Yeah.
So what is going on with this justice system of ours? So much bad going on in the world, and they're wasting time and resources on a 10-year-old kid who had to take a leak behind his.
How much time is it? Are they trying to...
He was arrested, and now he's given probation.
Wait,
though.
he actually got arrested.
He was
as a
arrested,
10-year-old.
and he now has probation where they're forcing him to do like extra work and papers and stuff
And
like that.
was he in the city?
No. He was out just
And it was
outside,
behind his mom's
just
car.
behind his mom's car, Mississippi,
In Mississippi, of all places.
the backwoods
Who
of
here
Mississippi.
has peed outside?
What do you mean? I feel... Yeah, but you're at the beach. You're pissing in the
I went to
ocean.
college, you know.
This week.
But dude, and it's crazy that you picked said this story. Just the other day, I'm watching literally outside my apartment every morning. 6 dogs separately. They're shitting, they're peeing, they're doing everything. And I'm like, wait a minute. What if I have to go really, really bad? I should, without exposing myself, I should be able to and not get arrested. And that's a 10-year-old.
And if
Okay.
we're going
widely
to do
accepted
that,
good
right,
shit
if we're
everywhere.
going to do that,
You can
why
do
don't we
crack
just
in the
stand down the
streets? You can
streets
do-
at San Francisco and pick them off one by one? You
Jail,
get it.
yeah,
You
jail,
get it. You
jail,
get it.
jail,
Just eliminate
yeah.
them real quick. But instead, we need to bring a Chinese dictator here to
Yeah.
clean our streets in San Francisco in 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
So,
What are you gonna say, Brandon?
No, yeah, just that's like the why Republicans and Democrats suck, because Republicans overreact to things and Democrats underreact to things like that. You know, Democrats let you shit all over your city in public. Like, it's not even a thing that people blink at anymore in San Francisco.
Nobody
but
cares.
you know, in a place like Mississippi, it's as conservative as it gets. You know, this is their version of being extreme about things.
Is Mississippi's conservative?
Yeah, super. It's
They're
like
big
it's
time- yes.
like the original South, like what is it, like KKK type of all
Oh
that
Jesus!
stuff. Yeah.
That's just so weird. Why some place like that, which is pretty like lackadaisical. It's Mississippi.
Well, it's not
And
lax.
what
It's
is
like
it
the
doing?
Bible Belt.
Yeah, Bible Belt, but why you arrest a 10-year-old? Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
kind
like
of
what point are
I'm
they trying to
decent.
prove?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
And I'm curious, what point are you trying to prove doing that? Like, at the very least, you can have a conversation with the young boy. He's 10 years old. You're going to put that on his record. And you're also, like, he has a future, and obviously a bright future for something all of us just said that we've done. And if you've ever been to college campus, let alone, you know, like the cities where there's just chaos, it's a fairly common situation that you would see.
Well, I thought the whole point of the courts and the whole system was to deter people who commit a crime from doing it again. So what is the punishment that the message that you're trying to send to this kid? Like, are you worried about him becoming a repeat offender of urinating in public to the point that you have to arrest him, put cuffs on him, and then put him through the trial process? And then imagine being the parents of this kid that have to pay the money for the attorneys just because the kid was tinkling outside his mother's
And who is the cop? Like, what a miserable person.
And prosecutor.
Like, what a miserable
Well, you wonder
people.
a lot of times, like, you get pulled over and they can pretty much, if they realize they're wrong, pretty much find any reason to kind of give you something. So you wonder if that's exactly initially what they thought they were going to do over there.
Yeah.
Happened to see a little kid peeing. There was nothing else really going on, and they had to
Well, and
do
then sometimes,
something.
I mean, and I'd want to know more about, like, the actual situation, because you don't know if they knew this kid or if they knew the family, meaning, and they were trying to get back at the family. It is Mississippi.
Yeah.
Maybe they had like a vendetta, but dude, to arrest a 10-year-old kid, now you just nailed it, for the rest of his life. And I know you were saying like future. I mean, depending on where he lives in Mississippi, he probably don't have a great future. You know what I'm saying?
Anybody here, father?
I'm sorry?
You have kids?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of.
Good job, Brandon.
Future president.
Listen, I'm not,
Brandon's like, I had a good weekend, but I don't know.
I'm not a violent person, but I have kids, and it would enrage me to see my children put in handcuffs. To the point where, like, I would have to be put in handcuffs to restrain. Because at 10, think of all the dumb things you did as a 10-year-old. Any of the, I mean,
Oh my God.
now, listen, 10 years old, you do a lot of dumb things. None of them probably criminal. 13, you do things, maybe criminal. When you get to your teenage years, you do dumb things. You have a beer, you go driving afterwards. You do dumb things. Not condoning any of that behavior. But at 10, I don't think you have criminal intentions. You don't have malicious intentions. Hey, I'm going to pee and let everybody see my little wiener. What was the thought process behind the district attorney that prosecutes that case?
And what I think makes it worse is, like, in the 90s when, like, or whenever, or a long time ago when things were Pleasantville, something like this, you might see a story like this and it won't really hit home too much. But with so many things going on right now, you almost pick your poison, right? Like, is this really what we're going to spend our time attacking? Like, can't we spend our resources
There's
and
bigger
time
fish to fry,
Really,
like-
right now?
Well, yeah, and kids have no, like, think about kids. I mean, dude, kids today, we talk about this on many shows and podcasts on our own. The attack on children is absolutely insane. Like, this is a small little case, but from what they're doing with the pushing the LGBT to teaching them that, you know, white people are racist in school, and like, it's these kids have no freaking chance, bro. The schooling is still, like, think about, and I'm talking about going through all the way to college, and look what's happening with Harvard and MIT and Penn State. It's like, bro, as a guy that's trying to get married and trying to have kids, you know what I'm saying? I'm on the market. And again, I'm still going to, Chris, I'm not one of these guys that's like, no, the hell with it. The more I hear, you know, Elon and Pat and everybody about like yesterday, and we're gonna get into that talk with Taylor. I'm trying to have at least 2 now. Like, I'm trying to pump 2 out. But no, it's like, bro, I feel so bad for this youth, and like, my brother has 4 kids, and I see how and Bob, I know you're doing it too, and Pat's doing it in front of my face. It's an all-out attack, so you have to go into overdrive mode to protect them, to teach them, to guide them, to not let them, like, bro, they're like, this urinating thing is absolutely ridiculous, but in the overall umbrella of what's happening to kids, dude, even the mask and the vaccine, I just saw a video. If you guys really stop and look back at what they did to freaking kids, I saw this, I don't know how old the kid was, Rob, maybe 2, like Brooklyn's age, Cal, like 2 or 3, and they're shoving this mask on this kid, and the kid's crying, and the teacher's like, no, Jimmy, and the kid's
And that's
like,
your formative years too, like ages 0 through 4. You know, like that you're deeply imprinted during that time. So like
100%.
that's gonna affect you your entire life.
and they did it on purpose.
How much of this are we not even going to know until 10 years down? And on top of the masks, think about how many kids during those, like, just supremely developmental years were cooped up at home, no socializing, no friends,
Nothing.
none of the things that we were exposed to.
Get away.
That-
You know, like when
yeah.
you're growing up.
Get away, I'm dealing with
Yeah.
it now. I got a
Right.
13-year-old who missed out on. Think about how formative.
Right.
4th, 5th, and 6th grade were. He was at home. He lost half of 4th grade, all of 5th grade, and a quarter of 6th grade. And I remember, like, those are the years. My first dance, slow dance to Casey and JoJo's all my life.
Yes.
With Katrina Calatrella. I remember it was the first time that I tongue kissed a girl. What's up, Jennifer Penn? Like,
Wait, Bob, you're not gay?
well, I wasn't then.
Okay, got it.
I've been indoctrinated now. But it's very difficult for the kids. And I think, to Vinny, to your point, what it takes, and you know, Pat's a good example of this, and I try and take his wisdom that he shares with us on the podcast about raising his kids. There's different things you can do with your kids to try and break them of that mold. Think of how difficult it was being kids when we were growing up. Now imagine you were locked home for 2.5 years with COVID. Now everything is screens. My kids don't write. I make them write, but their classwork is all done on a computer.
Wow.
They watch a smart TV. They have cell phones. Like, you have to be involved in your kids' lives, and a lot. And I see it with, and I'm not going to say who, but there's people close to me where the tablet, the phone, that becomes the babysitter, and that becomes the parent rather than them, because it's easier to go, no, here, go watch this. You need to be active and informed in your kids' education and in their lives to prevent that indoctrination, to prevent them from falling down that slippery slope of going, you know, because it's very easy when you're lost and you don't have a strong father or mother figure in your home to then look to other people to become that figure. And who is it? The people that are looking to groom young children.
And saying grooming, we were talking about putting a 10-year-old in jail. How long did it take to get Jeffrey Epstein after all of that? How long did it take to get all of
20 years.
Yeah.
20
Wait, if you pee behind your mom's car and you're 10 years old in Mississippi, straight to jail.
And I spin so much back to athletics because that's my background. And at home, I work with youth athletes. I think sports is like a microcosm of like life. There's so many kids who are so different than we were growing up. Now, like, you're hard on a kid, you'll lose them. Like, you can't be, you know, you see kids amongst their peers, they need guidance for everything now. Like when we were little, if my mom left me outside for 10 hours, I figure stuff out. Like, I'm out there, I got a problem, I figure it out, I find a way. It's not like that no more. You have to.
I used to get locked out of my house. My parents would go, no, you got to go out at summertime, stay out. And like, it's not like I'm talking about the 1970s. I'm talking about like 1998, where it was get outside, go be with your friends. Now it's like, hey, make sure you have your air tag with you so I can track where you're going and have your location on your phone.
Yeah.
Because you have to watch where these kids are going.
It's getting bad, dude. But you know what I mean? I mean, that's all we can do is keep fighting the good fight because, I mean, dude, and again, the kid peeing behind the car, it's like just like sentence for like parole. What was it? What did he have? He has to go to
Parole,
probation.
he has,
and probation.
like an actual
Criminal drug tested and stuff, so he does. Like, I can't imagine.
He'll probably get wiped from his permanent record though, because you usually get juvenile stuff wiped after you're 18.
Yeah, and I mean, and like I said, that situation, I really, after we're done, I want to look into like what the hell that's like what the hell are you doing like to a little kid?
Yeah.
Like a 10-year. Do you guys know how big a 10-year-old kid is? They're freaking
My height.
And you said, he's not taking a piss. He was tinkling. He's a little kid. It's a tinkle with his wee-wee. You know what I mean?
Probably
He's
wears
not
like underoos still. Like, not even boxers, like tighty whities.
Yeah, that's hilarious. All right, we're gonna go. Can we go to the next story, Cal? We're gonna be moving on. Oh, the slapping is working.
Nice.
But I gotta stop.
Good
That's not
point.
good. All right, Brandon.
Yeah.
You're gonna be talking about
CRISPR.
CRISPR, which it's gene editing, which that's the scary stuff that we were talking about earlier in the week. But what is CRISPR, and talk to us? What the hell's going on?
All right, so this is simultaneously exciting and terrifying. And that's really the big question that I'm going to propose here, and I'm proposing to everybody. So if you don't know what CRISPR is, in 2015, this company gets started. It's a gene editing company, which is exactly what it sounds like, right? So you could, you know, people will have things like sickle cell, right? Like gene problems, whatever bad traits and
It's a blood
whatnot.
cell type
So
deficiency or
There's a
something.
guy here that has a deli.
Yeah. Does he really?
I don't know.
So dumb. I mean, it looks like it.
So this company's been around for since 2015, and just the other day, last week, they got FDA approved to treat sickle cell disease. So they could literally go in, cut out the sickle cell, and replace it with a healthy cell.
Wait, and so this gene, that basically that gene.
You know, like those strand things you see.
Wait, so when it comes to genes, by the way, I have no idea about any of this, but so they can find that gene in your entire body?
Yeah, so like imagine you know, like how they write code in the computer, like
Yeah.
so it's like going in, like taking out like bad code and putting in good code and like making the computer healthy.
Jeez, that's freaking wild.
Yeah, so it's like with precision, they could take out undesirable genes and put in like a healthy gene.
That sounds good, though. That they
yeah.
can eradicate a disease
Exactly.
like sickle cell.
There's a list of things that they could fix this. So they say they could fix cancer, AIDS, rare blood diseases, blindness. So there's even like they put COVID on there too. So there's a whole list of things they could fix with this.
My understanding is that sickle cell is something to do with carrying red blood cells, and you don't do it properly. So I suppose if they are able to find a way to get in there and kind of mess around with
And that's
that.
a genetic trait.
Yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
exactly.
But yeah, Brandon, keep going because I have some questions.
But so yeah, then the big question this really proposes though is because this obviously means that we're going to be very capable in the next years of people being able to tailor make like what they want their kids to make, and the military is going to be able to create basically super soldiers because there's reports coming out that our military and China, even much more so, because they don't have as strict, what would you call, like ethical guidelines or regulations. So they're really pushing this thing along, trying to create optimal humans for like their military, like a Captain America type of thing. So
Holy shit.
that's
we soften
like on the positive side of this, there's going to be a lot of diseases that we're able to eradicate because of this and fix. But on the weird side of it, where it gets like ethically blurry, we're going to be able to say, okay, I want a kid that ends up being 6'4" with blonde hair, blue eyes, and like whatever. So how weird does that get? And what's it going to look like in a world where we are able to create super soldiers?
Oh my God! So, and mind you, this is not just a United States thing. If it's FDA approved, everybody's gonna be able to access it.
Yeah, just the sickle cell treatment's FDA approved, but so like the rest of the things that I could do are still pending. But it was a big milestone that like that's the first thing they do that is FDA approved last week.
So last week, so FDA approved, like, and then do human trials start? Or if it's
200 people have had the stuff done on them.
And was it
publicly?
Yeah, no shit. What's the rate of success for the sickle cell leaving?
I don't know that number, but it has to be like a certain benchmark to get FDA approved. Yeah, so it's probably a high number for that one. But it does go wrong sometimes. Like,
and I could see, because Brendan, like from history, when we find anything that helps society, like the guy that created the engine that runs on water, murdered, killed, something like this that's going to help us and make us live longer. Who's behind? Who's CRISPR's the company?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm
Who
shocked.
owns them?
Yeah. Who owns CRISPR? Because I'm shocked. That's the real question. Whoever owns CRISPR, because like Elon, like I know a lot of people that are like, Elon, he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. This guy is acting like he's saving humanity, but when it comes to Neuralink and he's going to put this thing in your head, he'll be able to control you. So when I hear something like that, like if anything that's trying to help the people and they're behind it, I always find that there's going to be a different angle, because why would they let somebody help us live longer?
Is it just helping? Because like he said, you can then create essentially like babies, like whatever you want these people to be. And so I think about it, and I don't want to say someone who's not for advanced medicine and actually making the world a better place, but if I were to be like devil's advocate, we're essentially playing God. Like, okay, now we can go in and yes, eradicate diseases and do things of that nature, but we're also designing people, where essentially it's supposed to be God's the creator. And so I would say there's always that slippery slope, and I would not be pro this, because I think once we start, which we already have, when you think about playing God in so many roles, and we already have from birth control, things of that nature, so it's nothing new, but now it's getting to the extreme, and I feel that there's going to be much more negative, especially how advanced, and that everyone's going to be able to do this from all across different nations and different countries. And you think about the people that are in power, what are they going to do with this?
You made a really good point, because it's like, okay, this Brandon could be their like, all right, guys, sickle cell. And I mean, that's pretty freaking substantial. Yeah. And then they slowly start putting in the stuff with the kid modifications and all that shit. But again,
they just need one thing to say,
one thing to get in, because then they go, hey, listen, we were the sickle cell saviors. We don't have no ill intentions. Look what we did. Yeah. I think that's their
vaccines. It was polio.
Cancer.
We're eradicating disease, and now it's you have to take all these vaccines, otherwise you can't go to work.
Yeah. And sickle cell primarily, it's something that the African American population deals with. So they go in there, they help them, and they kind of maybe win back some of the people that they've lost.
You get people behind you,
and then soon it's gonna be like, oh, you're not a fan, you're racist.
Of course,
you don't want to do it.
And I think that's why they're really worried about, they keep banging this drum about the overpopulation, because, stuff like this is going to make that even like our life probably, 150 years at some point. Like, I think in the next 100 years, the average lifespan is going to be somewhere probably close to 200 years old. With you're going to be able to 3D print organs. You're going to be able to,
dude. I don't.
And
that's so great.
And this very thing that we're talking about, it's going to be able to fix cancer most likely, because cancer is a genetic thing too. Because you know how they say if two people have a kid and they have certain genetic traits like that link up, that their kids got X% more likelihood to have like
cancer.
whatever. Yeah. So they're going to be able to like with precision look at like those risks and offset them.
Do you feel that there's also, I'm not saying, again, I'm not against advanced medicine, but it's the more difficult route to go. There's probably ways we can do to solve some of these problems. Like, why don't we talk about our food and like things of that nature? Why we let all of these things, like these diseases, sugars, all of these things in our food? That's okay because we're going to solve it through manipulating genes. It's like, why don't we start with kind of the foundation and try and be healthier and do all of those things versus trying to manipulate humans?
And it's weird, Brandon, because again, all this advanced medicine is to try to keep us alive and keep us longer. I'm skeptical about why the powers that be, the elites, because that's all they ever talk about. Bill Gates, how many times on camera recorded? What is the biggest threat to humanity? It's overpopulation. There's too many of us, which is BS.
Bullshit.
Yeah,
Which is BS.
Nerd, no. All he did was make computers.
Let me tell you something. I hate that guy.
But why is he an expert on climate change
Right.
and vaccines? Like all of a sudden we've given, like, okay, he made Microsoft Word. Great. I love the Excel spreadsheets. Why is he an expert on disease and climate?
He's got a lot of money.
Right, and suddenly he's become an expert on artificial meats now. And now he's the biggest landowner in the world.
By the way,
Strange.
and we've talked about him extensively on this show. Everybody, all the viewers know, I do not trust that Kermit speaking freak, that Kermit Epstein, Epstein Island. That I hate that piece of. And I just went Splinter Vest. Dude, I don't want to hear that scumbag talk about anything that has to do with vaccines. Now with genetics, or like, dude, shut the hell up. And you nailed it, Rob. Just to take a quick step back, his wife, Melinda Gates, left him because she couldn't live with herself because of the relationship he had with Epstein. What type of Epstein? What type of relationship? Did they stay up late at night and have long talks? No. Because he was sleeping with underage kids and you couldn't live with yourself, which I give her props for, at least having the balls, no, whatever. She looks kind of manly, but, to come up and say, listen, I just can't live with myself. Can't live with myself. Being with a guy like that, he's a disgusting creep. And guess what? Why is it all the people that have been like all the pedophiles, all the people that have been accused? Let me say that all the people that have been accused of pedophilia, like Epstein, creepy-looking dude, who's John Podesta. Have you seen a photo of John Podesta? If there was a lineup and you went, all right, pick the pedophile, that'd be the guy that I pick. That's the guy. But go ahead, Chris.
Bill Gates has he's one of those guys where he's gotten himself on that list with me. Like anything that guy touches, I'm out on.
No, dude.
Like if he's involved, it could be anything.
It's like
my
tinfoil
favorite
hat.
thing.
What's going on?
It could be my favorite. If he's involved, I'm off. I don't trust
It's
it.
funny that you say that. I just heard a podcast, and we're about to wrap up right now before we go to the next story. He was on the podcast, Joe Rogan and Tiffany, was it
Haddish?
Not Tiffany Haddish. Who's the girl, the two broke girls? She's a producer. Female comedian.
Cummings?
Whitney Cummings. And guess what they said? Guess who bought every morning, I take a half a lemon, squeeze it, water, stevia, a little bit of sweetness, cayenne pepper, and a half with a teaspoon of Bragg apple cider vinegar.
Right,
he bought it. He bought Bragg, and apparently they're using the apples that have that coating and shit on it. Sayonara, bitch. I moved on to 365. Well, go ahead.
Just a final thought on this. So you say, like, why would they give us this ability to, prolong life and fix these illnesses? Because the most profitable thing for the pharma industry is to keep people healthy enough to live, but still keep them sick. So, that's why a lot of these medications are, like, not permanent fixes, but things you have to, take indefinitely. So it's a net positive for them to be able to save lives, but still have them being unhealthy because of things like food and what they're doing with all of that.
They're brilliant, evil sons of bitches, bro, and I hate them all. Okay.
But around the thing, like, are you guys for it or against it, though?
What?
Like, are you excited or terrified?
Against it.
You're against, dude.
You have to pick one though.
I think the future's moving with or without us. It's like I don't think but if I had to pick, I think I'd be against it because I think people, when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. We're messing with stuff like, dude, when we started splitting atoms and shit and blowing up, you know, almost country, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I don't. I don't
And
like
when
it.
I say no, and like I'm not trying to bring it all the way back to, but I wonder what God is thinking. Like, bro, who do you guys think you are?
Yeah, he's like,
But if
listen,
we're capable of it, though, then it's God given. I would say, like, if we're able to do it, that's because
Yeah,
God
but
made us able
humans
to
do a
do
lot
it.
of things, and God made humans doesn't mean He agrees with all of it.
all right, guys, moving on to the next story. Taylor, Elon Musk, Alex Jones, X, formerly known as Twitter. Talk to us.
Yes, so you guys probably have seen the news. Elon Musk reinstates Alex Jones on X. And of course, it created controversy. Why? Because it's the infamous Alex Jones. And Musk considers himself a free speech absolutist. And so he actually ran a poll on if he should reinstate Alex Jones or not. The poll said yes, and so he did. And kind of want to break down some of the laws when it comes to free speech and online and the different platforms.
Real quick, that yes was 70% of the people on Twitter that voted.
72%.
Yeah, it was a huge number.
Yes.
So it wasn't like 51-49. There was a vast majority that wanted it
Yeah,
back.
that's 70. That's a lot of people.
And that's what we call democracy, right?
I love it.
The people won.
I love it.
And so just some statistics. According to a 2021 report, Article 9, a global freedom of expression organization, 73 countries now have laws that restrict online content. That is up from 65 countries in 2017. Other shocking facts regarding censorship online. In 2021, Facebook removed 1.7 billion pieces of content that violated its community standards. Twitter suspended over 70 million accounts in 2021 of its violating its rules. YouTube removed over 8 million videos in 2021 for violating its policies. And so the United States, there was actually a bill that was introduced, the Free Speech Protection Act. It is a bill introduced by the House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan. And what it was a bill to prohibit executive branch employees and contractors from using their positions to censor, otherwise attack free speech protected by the First Amendment. And so the bill would also impose mandatory penalties for those who of the executive branch employees who censored speech. And then there was a bill that would also mandate frequent publicly accessible reports from the head of executive branch agencies detailing communication between an executive branch agency and big tech. This would ensure that the public is aware of any efforts of the government to censor speech through its relationships with tech and companies. The bill would also ensure that federal grant money is not misused to label media organizations as a source of misinformation or disinformation. This would also prevent the government from using its power to silence critical voices. And finally, the bill would terminate several programs and authorities that threaten free speech and other constitutional priorities and the rights. And so with him bringing back on Alex Jones, because of course there's free speech, there's the First Amendment. You can't put violence on someone, or you can't threaten someone in certain extent. But my question to all of you comes with, one, was it right? Should have Elon Musk brought him back to X? And also, what are your thoughts when it comes to online platform and censorship? And are you in favor of the bill when it comes to disconnecting the government to put on these policies when it comes to online platforms? What do you guys feel should be the route when it comes to censorship, and where should they play a role in government on online platforms when it comes to censorship?
Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, so I think, so first, love Alex Jones. Really happy he's back. He's right about the vast majority of things he talks about. Second, for online censorship, I would say that it's the best practice to let people say whatever they're going to say and let the court of public opinion be the ones who decides where things fall, what's right and wrong. Because, at the end of the day, if you say something that's messed up and that people don't like, you're going to be an outcast. People are going to, look down on you for that. You don't need to be blocked. A lot of times it's even more dangerous, because that's how, echo chambers form, and people say, oh, we can't talk here. Let's form a group and talk over here if they're not going to let us talk in the spot. And to properly combat what social media companies are doing, I'd say repeal Section 230 for sure, because that's the clause that was created to make them not liable for censoring people, because you're not supposed to be able to censor people and violate the First Amendment, but Section 230 allows them to do that.
Yeah, and what do you think about? I think government. I don't want anything with government involved when it comes to social media. If you're out in the street, and mind you, and this is a very slippery slope. I'm 100% pro First Amendment. I'm a freaking comedian. I'd say whatever I want, and I agree with you 100%. let the people say what they're going to say, so you could see who's say. So we know what we're dealing with. When it comes to Alex, and I'm happy that he's back on. Like you said, Brent, he's made a lot of right predictions, 9/11 being one of them. He made a stupid mistake. He apologized many times for it. He didn't. By the way, I'm not gonna lie to you guys either. When it was happening, I was asking some questions too, because everybody was talking, but at least we got to see it. Zero government involvement, because we saw what happened with the government sending the FBI to Twitter. 80 agents, Rob? They had their own freaking office, and they were censoring stories that we should have seen that factually would have changed people's minds in voting in 2020 for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. So I think any involvement with the government has to be taken out. But at the same token, I think it's where's the free speech? Like what's happening right now with people in the streets protesting because they're pro Hamas. Like the crazy thing is, we have to let them say it. You can't.
Look what happened to them. They got criticized, and a lot of them backed down.
Exactly, because I think about it. If somebody wants to be in the street and say, free Palestine, and they're pro Hamas, you can't stop. That's what makes this country amazing.
Yeah.
You have to let them do it. Deplatforming, I mean, it does, because those are privately owned. Some of them are private, some of them are public companies. It's like, I agree, Brent. I think we just have to let them go out there and say what the hell they want, so we know that what we're working with. And I want to ask you a question before you say what you're going to say. If Hitler was around and social media was around, what do you think he wouldn't be able to be anywhere?
Well,
correct?
I mean, we allow terrorists on Twitter, so he might actually be allowed on them.
I was just going to say, the Ayatollah and all these guys that their motto is death to America. How are their accounts, ISIS and shit has Twitter, they have their accounts, but yet
Trump,
all these guys got taken down for saying, they were saying some crazy shit, but it wasn't death to America.
Andrew Tate
and all these guys. So it's like, who we let exercise their First Amendment opposed to who we don't is kind of crazy, because if it doesn't fit their narrative, they take you down. What are you going to say, Chris?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm an active user on Twitter. I've kind of had a love-hate relationship since Elon bought it. I thought he came out of the gates perfect. I loved it. He hired that lady, Linda Yaccarino, and I thought set us back a little bit. Seemingly figured it out. I'm all for Alex Jones getting back on. Look, I think it's, along what you just said, you kind of weed out who believes what. Just a week ago, we saw 3 elite university presidents come out and speak, right? 2 of them are gone now. So that doesn't happen, and we don't get these people out of these prominent positions to kind of influence the next generation of people if that video doesn't spread, right? With that, I sort of love that they're coming at Elon, because when you get these guys with these big egos, an Elon, a Trump, a Dana White, and you kind of back them into a corner and make them public enemy number 1, maybe Elon needed to get pissed off. I love it. I love it too. And then what I would just say, pertaining to the end of your point, is they do silence people, but I am yet to see someone on the other side be deplatformed. And when that happens, then I think I'll feel a little bit, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, who
on the other side has had their platform taken away?
Name a prominent, Rob, because I want to hear your opinion too, because Taylor asked us. I wanted to hit Rob. Who on the left do you know of that's a great point. Name somebody on the left. I mean, they're probably out there like that we don't even know. But I'm talking about name a prominent name in the public view, either in politics or sports or something, or whatever.
There was a censure, not censure, which is the closest.
Censure. Like, dude, this isn't about the social media thing, but what about the Bowman, the guy that pulled the fire alarm? He's like, no, I didn't do it. That's not, and he's censured, but he's still working.
Yeah, and same thing with the Rashida Tlaib or whatever her name is, for being all pro-Hamas. Like,
Hamas with a flag outside.
She's still allowed to say it, but she got censured by the Congress, which just means they're saying shame on you. We disapprove of that. Yeah.
What do you think, Rob?
It's very interesting that I listened to the spaces yesterday it was yesterday with Tucker Carlson, and Benny Johnson had brought up a great point about the 2024 election and how Twitter is really the only place where now it's an unfettered place where you can get information from both sides, right? It's that people are going to post things with a bias, but it's not censoring things from the left. It's not censoring things from the right. It's becoming a place where you can have conversations, whether you agree or disagree. Those conversations can be had.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is you look at how they're trying to hurt Musk, right? Because think about it. Before he owned Twitter, who owned it?
Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey.
Now he takes over, and it's a mass exodus of advertisers all at one time, right? The Disney Corporation, Walmart removing their ads. And then they'll say, well, it's because we're not getting the return on our investment. But what it seems like it's more like is, hey, let's try and make this platform lose as much money as possible so that Elon can get rid of it and we can put someone in charge of it that can go back to censoring the speech of people.
Oh, dude, and he is, I think we talked about this, he is he's the left's public enemy number one. Dude, they operate to brainwash and control information. That's how they stay up here. And for a guy to spend over $40-some billion, bro, to give us that, like, dude, if he doesn't win a Nobel Peace humanitarian prize, like, and I know people just keep, patting him on the back. I don't think people have actually grasped what giving us that platform. And you nailed it, Rob. I was watching the space where it was Pat was on there, Elon was on there, the Krasenstein, bro. Why the fuck are they there? Those weird, like, little nerds.
Or you could tell they were speaking because they have, like,
I thought a woman. I'm not trying to be that guy. I thought they were girls. I go, oh, who's that, Laura Loomer? It was the Krasenstein brothers. But yes, look at the beauty of what he did.
And to think about in this day and age, right? Look what we're doing right now. It's video, right? For people to sit around and listen to something. It takes you back to the 1920s, 1930s, before television, where people would get around the radio and listen to the radio. Right. He's now opened this up so that people from all across the globe can connect with one another, have a conversation, and people aren't even seeing it. There was close to, last night I think it said 2 million people watched it overall. 2 million people sat and listened to something that was, and I was one of them. I listened to till 10:10 last night when it finally ended. For people in this video day and age of this distractions with tablets and TVs, like we talked about earlier, and to be this video heavy world that we're living in, for people to drop all of that and listen to something for 2 hours, it shows the power that Twitter has and the reach that it has. And it's very exciting to see more of these Twitter spaces happening.
It's amazing.
It's the biggest thing literally since the Declaration of Independence, him buying Twitter, because, think about the situation we were in with, like, what we had available. It was just Rumble, like, chugging along before that. But I was going to say, in addition to that, the thing that I am concerned about that keeps getting brought up is that the potential for Apple to remove X from the App Store.
Oh, that would suck. I heard that.
Because that's, like, sort of the kryptonite of the situation, like, what happens there. And, like all it really is that. And, like, with Google removes it from, like, the internet.
Yeah. Oh, my God. That's
with
great.
that, though, as far as, like, the uproar and, like, the backlash to that, it'd be I don't think that'd be a good move on their end. Same thing with censoring people. Alex Jones, many of us who you could call conspiracy theorists, like, knew who he was, but many people didn't. He became, like, a martyr when they got rid of him. And so it does the exact opposite when they silence people. And I think it was a great move by Elon Musk, and I feel that it actually is the foundation of what is America, that people can speak how they like to speak. Let the people decide. And that's why, like, people like Patrick are rising to the top when it comes to viewership. Same thing with Joe Rogan, is that they don't feel that the public is stupid. They actually feel we're intelligent enough to make our own decisions. Nope. The only way you can do that is allowing people to have the voice to do that. And so having people like Alex Jones, while simultaneously having people like Joe Biden, they can each speak, they can each have reach, and they have the opportunity to do so on X. And with that, it has people can actually think, because when you censor people, when you censor ideas, then it's not free-flowing information.
And it's very interesting how people are consuming their news now. Don Lemon was quoted in an article yesterday where he talked about Vinnie. I think you were in the chat where we were talking about it, where Don Lemon. Think of a more liberal person.
Let's say it right. Don Lemon. Say it right.
But I can't think of a more liberal person than Don Lemon. And he listed his news that he is currently consuming since he got fired from CNN, and it was Patrick Bet-David and the PBD podcast, The Daily Wire, and Ben Shapiro. This is a guy who made his career in liberal media and being a liberal, and he's even coming out and going, I'm enjoying seeing this other side of things, and where are they finding it? It's not in the algorithms, right? And I don't use the term shadow ban, but we're not everywhere. We're not, Apple or ABC is not writing about us. Where do you find us? You find us on platforms like Twitter. You find us on platforms like YouTube. So thank God that Twitter exists, because it's able to showcase these other media outlets to people who might not have consumed or searched that information out otherwise.
And also, opinions from people like from all over. They're not just the talking heads on the news. Like you can actually listen to normal people. You can listen to people like Elon Musk. They have like an opinion that you feel is valid or something that's interesting, and you can hear what they have to say. So I remember I would go to the news like during the 2016 election. A lot of my news I would find on Twitter, and it'd be like, oh, this person's interesting. I'd be like, what'd they say? And I'd go down like this rabbit hole, but then I get different ideas, and I'm like, oh, they said this to that person. But if you eliminate that, you're not having freedom of speech.
And I'm absolutely in the group that gets my news from Twitter. And then listening to you all yesterday with the PBD podcast, I was thinking, like with Tucker now, right? I get like it was the thing with DeSantis that always made me think like, would he be able to make more a difference as a president than he is a governor? And I just think so much about Tucker. You guys were talking about him being VP yesterday. The reach he has doing what he does he almost hinder that by becoming VP? I almost thought he is such a prominent presence now on X. I don't miss a thing he puts up, and I don't. You look at the numbers he gets. Right? Do you think, in your opinion, he's less effective as a VP than he is doing what he does? Because who takes his role? Who fills his role?
That's a great question.
Yeah, but what Pat said yesterday, and Pat brought up a great point because he asked Elon Musk
on the Twitter.
Yeah, there's
Pat
actually.
Tucker, what you're talking about yesterday on that.
And there's an article on that. If you go to VT.com, you can read it.
Wow,
yes.
boys.
But what's interesting is what Pat's point was. The VP's pick for Trump is not a 4-year position. This is a 12-year position because Trump only has 4 more years. Yep. So you're going to get in there with Trump, but that you are taking that job for the next 12 years because you'll be VP for 4, and then hopefully you get elected to presidency in 2028, and then again in 2032, and then in 2036. Brandon is
here. So hypothetically, let's say he's VP, and then they hamstring him in court like they did Trump for 12 years. No. Who takes the spot? Who's the next guy to come in? And
I mean, I think time would only tell.
They do whatever they can to hinder the progress of whomever's in.
Well, yeah, that's why, and that's why you made a great point, Brandon. That's why they tried pushing this anti-Semitic BS on Elon, which somebody that's trying to save humanity is not going to be. He's trying to save the human race, but he's racist towards one. It's like, get the F out of here. Like, good try. They always try to do that. Oh, you hate Jewish people. That's like the go-to. That, or they put a girl. Like, he touched me, which I guarantee they paid these people. But, like, dude, that would really, really, really suck.
And great point to that. Like, I think Elon Musk is not paying attention. He's trying to go to Mars. He has Tesla. He has all these things. If you listen to his book, I don't think he's worried about just Jewish people. Like, he has bigger things he's going on.
But I mean, it's like if you as the public can't see the trend of, oh my God, this person's too powerful, they're going against us. Cue the girl that 30 years ago said he'd grab their boob, or guess what? He hates Jews. It's like, how many times will people gonna be like, okay, we get what you're trying to do, and we don't.
What if you're gay and Jewish? Then they have nothing to bring you down
then
with.
It's over. But, all right, guys, we have to go to the last story. This one's a doozy. And by the way, spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the movie, Leave the World Behind, don't watch this because we're going to talk about the freaking movie and we're going to dive deep. Anyway, so did you see it yet?
I got about 2/3 of the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rob?
I have not.
You have not? Taylor? Brandon?
I stayed
You did. Okay, well, spoiler. So that's perfect because now we're going to have a little 2/3, haven't. So me and Brandon will show you guys. So the movie, it starred Julia Roberts, Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke. The film is basically about a cyber attack by hackers on America. It's really apocalyptic. It's about a family whose getaway. So Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke, they go on this like Airbnb at this nice house, and they're there with their 2 kids, and it's luxurious rental. And then a cyber attack happens, knocks out everybody's devices, all the Wi-Fi's done, and then Mahershala Ali and his daughter show up because it's their house, and they're like, hey, we want to stay here. We had, problems with our car, and they asked if they could stay, and then Julia Roberts is reluctant, but Ethan Hawke is like he's the human, he's like, it's his house, give us 50% discount, you guys can stay. And then all this weird stuff starts happening, like a signal gets sent. Well, first of all, deer and like wildlife just start showing up, and they're just standing there, and like that's already a sign of like, I'm leaving.
That's so interesting. Like animals, they say have they have like a way to know.
What's up. Yeah, by the way,
for sure.
That's what they actually say. If elephants, when there's a tsunami, an elephant, because of their ears and I don't know, they turn and they start running inward fast. So if you ever see an elephant running, follow that bitch. That's what I'm saying. Okay, and then a bunch of drones or drone-like aircraft started dropping. They were drones, right? Big drones started dropping like these red snake photos that said in Arabic, "Death to America," on one side, and then on the other side, they were getting reports from other people that
other states,
where other states had Chinese propaganda, some had Korean propaganda, and then come to find out, this was an all-out attack, and they did used a 3-stage maneuver. They used isolation, where they disabled all communication and transportation, making people deaf, dumb, and paralyzed. Synchronized chaos, which they terrorized with covert attacks and disinformation.
And the noise thing.
With no clear enemy. And then they shot this, would you call it?
Frequency.
A frequency that was so loud, you had to cover your ears or else your ears would explode.
Yeah.
And then you're crippled, you're on the ground.
Teeth falling out.
And it made the sun's teeth start falling out. By the way, this is all possible. Are you right? Is this scaring you guys over there?
We use this all the time on South America.
We use it on South America. This is all shit that we have, technology that we have. And then at the end of the movie, like, cities shit's blowing up, the White House is attacked, and everybody's in his bunkers. And by the way, I'm watching this, and I Googled it. Guess who the executive producers of the movie are?
Tell us.
Barack and Michelle Obama. Isn't that
Red flag.
Wait, hold on. Kind of weird, Rob, if you think about it in the scheme of what you're doing. You're making, dude, how rich are the Obamas? 500 million?
They're not hurting.
Pre-White House, they weren't rich. Post-White House, like 20 mil.
I think it's way more than 20 million.
Yeah.
Weird how Trump's the only one who lost net worth after taking the office of presidency.
Yeah.
Everybody else went from, I got like $1 million in the bank, to having 40 million. Trump went from having 3.2 billion down to 2.7 billion.
Yeah.
And they make fun of him for it. It's like, hey, he still got $1 billion.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. So I'm watching, I'm asking myself, why would an ex-president and his wife do something like this? But anyway, Barack played a key role in the movie and influenced the most critical parts. According to the writer Sam Ismail, Obama thought the script was fairly close to how a crisis would actually pan out in the real world and gave feedback. Like, he basically was like, try this. This is how it works. It's, all weird. Then in an interview in Vanity Fair, the director reflected on what it was like to receive feedback from Obama. He's like, I'm writing this thing as fiction. For the most part, I'm trying to keep it as true as possible, but I'm exaggerating and dramatizing. He goes, and to hear an ex-president say you're off by a few details, meaning he knows how this whole plan would plan out. He goes, I thought I was off by a lot. The fact that he said that scared the F out of me. Also, Obama got some backlash for warning in the movie about white people. There's a scene where Mahershala Ali's in bed with his daughter because they have to stay in the basement. And the daughter goes, I'm asking you to remember that if the world falls apart, trust should not be doled easily to anyone, especially white people. Even mom would agree with that. So
and then the dad co-signs for it.
By the way, that stuck out like a sore thumb too. Like, it fit nowhere in the movie. Like pre that scene and post that scene.
Well, I was going to ask, is the movie based on racial tension?
No. They do. Hold on. It does, Brandon, with that type of stuff, and the white, mom was kind of thrown off about them showing up. It does have. Like,
do you think it was racial or stranger though?
Well, they do it in a very innocuous way, like a very subtle way.
Except
where
for that part.
But that part's in your face saying, don't. That's one of the main messages from a black female saying, Dad, not to trust white people ever when shit like this happens. Even mom would agree. A black lady that wasn't even there.
Yeah, and you can't make the argument that the Obamas didn't know that was in the film because their production company, like you said,
executive
Higher Ground Productions.
Higher Grounds.
It's their second film that they've released this year. If you're the president of the United States, I would, or a former president of the United States, I would.
Hold on, he might still be the president of the United States with Joe Biden. But
I would think that you would at least go over and watch the movie and see that and go, hey, that's going to make me look bad in the long run. We should probably cut that. So it's very intentional that is left in the movie.
Well, Rob, you're going to the screening of the movie. I'm talking about the script. Obama goes through the entire executive producers. I know this. They have to read it all, table read. Everybody's there. They heard that and they were like, They probably laughed and they said, keep that. Also, and I know people are going to talk crap, and I don't give a damn because, it's there. There were subliminal messages throughout the movie. There's a poster. Kelly, can you show the poster of the movie? The word ball, you just had it. If you see that circle where all the names are? BAAL. Okay, for you guys who don't know, ball is the name given to several different deities who are designated as false gods or idols. Baal is associated with Beelzebub, demons, and the devil. There's also a scene, and people are always like, you're reaching. I didn't find this. Somebody posted this picture. There's a scene where you just pause it, and the clock, the brother, there's two clocks. I don't know why there's two clocks. One has a 6 showing, one has a 6 showing, and then there's a 76ers mug showing. They all have 666 on it. And then the kids, Kelly, can you show the kids they're wearing Obey shirts? Obey NASA shirts. It's all subliminal, bro. It's all subliminal. And this movie has predictive programming written all over. All right. We saw, all of us have seen, I'm pretty sure you have too, Chris. We saw the Iranian lawmakers chanting death to America, all right? You see Tucker Carlson, he has a show talking about the EMT attacks in the United States if we went to war with Iran, which it looks like we're getting slowly closer to that. And then you have Klaus Schwab, my favorite World Economic Forum speaker. He predicted that there would be a cyber pandemic, all right? He said the COVID-19 crisis would be a small disturbance when he talks about in the scheme of things. And Kelly show the video of my favorite guy with my favorite accent, which doesn't scare me when he talks about shit like this. Can we rewind it and play with the volume? Can you go back and play the beginning with the volume, please? Put it up so we can hear it.
Pay insufficient attention to the frightening scenario of a comprehensive cyber attack, which would bring to a complete halt to the power supply, transportation, hospital services, our society as a whole. The COVID-19 crisis would be seen in this respect as a small disturbance in comparison to a major cyber
attack. But mind you guys, so I've been trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be, right? So that's, by the way, predictive programming. They're letting you know. Just like the movie Contagion came out before COVID-19, which was the same thing. A girl went to Hong Kong, got the virus, came back, gave it to everybody. So I was going deep. Me and Brandon talked about this. I believe was it last Friday? We kind of hinted towards it, but the elite always tell you exactly what they're going to do, exactly what's coming down the pike. They tell us through movies, through music. They tell you what they're going to do. It's called, and you guys can Google this, revelation of the method, okay? They do this to avoid bad karma. Brandon, you told me about this, so I looked it up. They put their true intentions out there so nobody could accuse them of not warning us of things to come. Like, who would have thought that evil people have moral and ethics? And Brandon, I want you to touch on that. Like, what is the gist? Because we see this happen all the time. Rob even talked about it, there was a book called...
No, it was a pilot. So remember the X-Files? They did a spin-off show. On the X-Files, there was a group of guys that would give Mulder and Scully the information that they would then go and track down, right? So there were like these 3 nerds, and they were called the Lone Gunmen. That was the name of their group. They then produced a spin-off series of the X-Files featuring those 3 nerds. It was called The Lone Gunman, and the first episode was a pilot episode in which a 747 airliner was hijacked via a computer system, and they were going to fly the plane in to the World Trade Center, but luckily the pilot was able to maneuver and take control of the plane before it hit the building and then flew it out of the way. But that aired in March of 2011 or 2001, so that was 9 months before 9/11 or 6 months before 9/11.
But it's letting you. It's almost as if they. And Brandon, why? Because we talked about it. Why do they do that? Why do they want to show you their plan?
Yeah, so it's like part of their religion. So karma's a very real thing. Even the evil people acknowledge that. And basically, the way to simplify it is to say that they have to put it out there and tell you what they're doing, or the karma's going to work against them. So they're basically exonerating themselves from like a spiritual karma standpoint. If they put it out for you in plain writing, they do it through art, through movies, through media. Klaus, that's why Klaus constantly is talking about every single thing they want to do.
Dude, Bill Gates is the same way.
Yeah.
Bill Gates openly says all the time, there's too many of us. We need to end like
And
that's
shame on us for not. I mean, I listen, of course, but like
We're
shame on the
listening.
population for not listening.
yeah.
It's really interesting. Tucker Carlson, the whole thing that led to Alex Jones being back on Twitter was his interview with Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's whole tease for why you should tune in and watch that episode was Alex Jones predicted 9/11 10 months before it happened. Yep. How did he do that? And then he asked Alex that question on the podcast, and Alex says, I read the documents that they print. He goes, all it takes is to read, they're telling us what they're going to do. So it's not hard to read the documents and make the assumption, hey, they're saying they're going to do this. Now it's, oh, okay, well, when are they going to do it?
Yeah, they're showing you the playbook constantly. It would take you about 2 seconds to get on Google and find them saying, this is not the last pandemic. There's going to be another one.
Number 2.
And then if you actually like dig deeper into Netflix, have you seen the premise for the movie Civil War coming out?
That just
Yeah,
came
we
out.
saw
You
the
showed
trailer
me.
today.
Same type of thing.
It's a Civil War industry.
It's basically like, you're from America, but what kind of American are you? You from this part or you from this part?
And it's, by the way, and it's all on purpose.
Exactly.
And it's like, and you nailed it. They believe by telling you they won't face consequences. It's like, what, dude, karma is genuinely a real thing, and they feel like it'll come back to bite them in the ass.
And not even they deeply believe it, not even they feel like it. Like this is their religious rule.
What, and they show you the plan. I think it's insane that they actually have, I mean, quote unquote, morals to be like, hey, listen, don't say we didn't tell you. You don't remember Klaus?
Yeah.
Telling you that, because the cyber. So I've been trying to figure out what is going to be the thing for this year. It's happening this year. I'm telling you guys, I don't think pandemic 2, because they tried to come back with, oh my God, people in China are having pneumonia and kids, and they tried that video again. Sure. Hospitals, Americans are kind of over it. Do you think, Rob, it's going to be a cyber attack?
I don't know. I'm more concerned at this point with what's going on at the southern border and, you know, them catching, what was it? The number was like 40,000 people who had links to terror groups.
Oh, yeah.
Sneaking across the board. That's the amount of people that they caught. Just imagine how many people got through that they don't know. So for me, the immediate threat would be some type of domestic terror attack. But then I think this is a more global situation that what's scary is I think that's what I don't know who, but that's what could be used to prevent an election in the United States in 2024.
But maybe whoever comes through that border is going to carry out that cyber attack. Because I mean,
Yeah, they're not sophisticated.
I mean, by the way, I saw 100 Chinese, well-dressed, suitcase standing there, and one of these dope conservative. Oh yeah, Brendan, recording all of them. Where are you from? Just quiet. China. China. Yeah, dude. By the way, you have no idea who the hell's here or what the hell. By the way, they're here. They're gonna get all the equipment and shit needed to do. You could come over the border, dude. Anybody could come. Literally, anybody. Terrorists can come over the border right now and do whatever the hell they want whenever they get the phone call.
Honestly, I think, like, I say this about a lot of things, but I think it's most likely that if this were to happen, it would be from the hands of our own government, because I don't think China's necessarily sophisticated enough to do this, but I think that our government could get desperate enough where, like, you know, if they felt like, oh my God, we can't prevent Trump from getting elected, we're all going to be thrown in jail if he does get elected, then they're like, all right, we're going to...
You say you don't think it could be China?
I think it's more likely that our own government does it.
What did you say? Well, I think in cahoots with, because it's funny you say that. And when we talk about stuff like this, and you said the C word, I don't say it. I say coincidence. I say the other one. It's not like what we say doesn't come to pass. This movie came out last week, and a couple days later, this story came out. This event happened that there was a massive cyber attack in the U.S. infrastructure from China. Hawaii's water utility systems were hacked. Oil and gas pipelines were hacked. And they tried to take down the electrical grid of Texas. We were talking about Rumble earlier.
Yep.
Rumble went down for a while. So it's not like we're talking out of our ass and none of this happens. They dangle it in front of your face, and then boom, 2 days later, a cyber attack happens. And I'm telling you guys, this is just the beginning of what they have in store.
And that falls right in line with what you're saying now, the recall of a bunch of the Teslas today, right? So you saw the thing with the Teslas, crash, 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 crash.
Yep.
They saying the word recall, what my understanding is it's just like a system glitch, but they're really trying to scare everybody.
Yes.
Back to
I have a Tesla. It's a software update.
Right.
It's not, they're not taking your cars back.
Right, back to
the Tesla,
back to public enemy number one. Who is he? We got to make his, get him.
And with that, if they do shut down everything, like power and the internet, then there goes Elon Musk and X and the ability for people to communicate. And what scares me is the idea, imagine that the power goes out. Like, how do we operate? Everything is done by computers now. How many people here have cash on hand? How many people here have food supplies, have
Even if you have
ammunition,
cash, who are you going to pay?
Yeah, I mean, I've been
Exactly. I know my mom
What are you
said
going
that.
to
She
pay?
goes, do you have cash on hand? I go, yeah, a lot of it, but what am I going to do with it
Beautiful.
if we
Okay.
lose everything?
I've been prepping for this my whole life, but I don't think a lot of people have. Like, you need guns or ammo, food, like cans of food, and gold
Do you
coins
have any
probably.
idea how many people are going to be shit out of luck? All the people that we've been trying to tell, like, hey, listen, God forbid something happens. Every time you see these videos of the guys that are building the bunker or getting the guns, and I know people are like, you're getting all this ammo. I go, bro, you guys don't have any idea what you're in for. Think about this, Robbie. And remember what you're going to say. If a traffic light goes out at a busy intersection, what happens? Meaning there's just no light happening.
Chaos.
Chaos happens. People are out of their cars yelling, fighting. That's one freaking intersection stoplight. If all power goes off, good luck. Good luck. What were you going to say, Rob? Because I want to show this video.
The idea that you're not going to be able to have access to money, you're not going to have access to, so you stock up, you prepare, you get food, you have everything.
Yeah.
And then people look at you and you go, look at this crazy loon stocking up. What's the harm in being prepared for something? I've never understood that.
Yeah.
Why are you a crazy person for just making sure, in case the event something goes wrong, that you're set? You know what happened in January of 2020? I'll never forget this. I'm sitting on my couch New Year's Eve, 2019 to 2020. I'm on Reddit and I'm seeing videos of people being carried away in body bags in China. The first thing I said to my wife was, something's going on and we need to stock up. Every night I would go to Walmart after I got done my radio show, because there was a 24-hour Walmart. I'd grab a case of water, I'd grab some snacks, and we started stocking our house. When COVID hit, we were set. We didn't have to leave the house. We had food. The only thing we didn't think of, goddamn toilet paper.
Yeah.
And
just real
on
quick.
that point, when people were running to the stores for toilet paper, I was on the same bandwidth. I was like, okay, ammunition, food, like you guys can go get your toilet paper.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get ammo. I have like 3 weeks of food, and I feel that like with this, what they're telling us, anyone, when it comes to living off the grid, like have an opportunity where you can. I'm originally from Michigan, and so my mom's husband, he lives on like 13 acres. I was like, if shit ever hits the fan, he's on like what is it, like a fire burner, like so he doesn't have to do that.
Smart.
Solar panels, we have ammunition, we're good. So I was like, if shit hits the fan, I'm going there. And part of that, when you said the U.S. government, who's behind the movie?
And just real quick,
Like,
in the movie,
who did we say? It was Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. So I would agree they're our biggest threat, but we need to take somewhat, again, individual responsibility, have food, have water, be able to be somewhat self-sustaining. They're telling us what they're going to do. It's happened in the past. Think a little bit foresight, and whether you want to call it coincidence, whatever it is, just be a little bit of caution.
and just real quick, in the movie, there is a funny scene where Julia Roberts, in passing, looks at a guy gathering water, and he ends up being like an important figure later, because when the shit hits the fan, who do they go but to the survivalist who's taken the time to prep?
The guy that looks like Rob.
And he's like, yes.
There's a great podcast that Patrick did with Peter Pry, and we talked about this on Tuesday's podcast. It's the only guest that we ever had back a second time on the podcast, and it's Dr. Peter Pry. If you want to learn about going and stocking up to prepare for some type of EMP attack or some type of power grid attack, go watch both of those podcasts, because he lays out exactly what you need, how much food you need, how long you're going to need it to sustain for. It's and what it did was it taught me, I went and I got a rain barrel for my house. So now under both of our gutters, when the rain comes down, we have rain barrels that collect water just in case we need it. We got a greenhouse. We're growing our own vegetables, our own food supply.
What's your address, Rob? Rob, what's your address?
It's 5900.
Yes.
What is this address? 5990.
And to just piggyback off that real quick, like my mom's husband, they would say, oh, someone just lives out in the boonies, he hunts, like, oh, they're the dumb ones. And it's like, but we're so reliant, we have to go to the grocery store, everything. I was like, he can live on his own. He goes out in the backyard, he hunts, he skins, he does it, we cook, we're good. And so having a little bit of that and putting that in our daily lives, I don't think that'd be
I probably know
thing.
5 people now that like 15 years ago, everyone was like, oh, that dude's so crazy. And now I'm like, he was right. He was right.
No,
he was right. He was right.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, Chris. I'm happy that you did so Tesla today had a 2 million car recall for is it like a chip update or
That's just software update. It's just same thing with your iPhone. When
recall. It's not like
they're
they're taking the part out of your car or any of that
They
stuff.
use that word on purpose.
Yeah, exactly. But it's weird because it was the autopilot, and then Kelly, we can show a clip of the movie. By the way, the timing is kind of weird. The movie comes out, we have all these weird things happening, and then guess what happened? The cyber attack. And then this is inside the movie, meaning, guess what? They could be operated by somebody else. That's why, bro, I'm telling you right now, you better be wary with that type of stuff, with the vehicles, with, I love them to death, with Neuralink and shit. I'm telling you right now, anything that's controlled by something else that's not you.
I don't usually use the autopilot on my Tesla, but I'll tell you this much. I totaled a Tesla going 80 miles an hour into a guardrail, spun around 3 different times, walked away completely unharmed. So you can say all the shit you want about Elon Musk and Teslas and recalls. One of the safest vehicles I've ever been inside.
That's sick. And
granted, I did total it, but that was my fault. It wasn't Tesla's.
Because guess why? You had a bottle of Jack Daniels and popcorn.
Correct.
You
And I had Hunter Biden. We had some whores. We were having
Yeah,
it
was really, really fun. But all right, that's it for us, guys. Thank you guys all. Chris, freaking awesome having you. Rob, Taylor has a meeting with Pat, and she can't be late. I told her to just text him later.
Yeah, just tell PBD that I'm gonna be late.
Yeah, which that wouldn't float. Brandon, I love you guys to death. Guys, make sure you tune in next week. If you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, hit the notification button, and yeah, God bless you guys. Take care of each other, and we will see you guys next week. Peace and love.
Peace.